Now let's talk about the workbook options. So here we have the options button. And if we select the options command, we get the options dialog box. Here we have 4 different tabs. The first one is the format. So how do we want to create the reports? If we want to display the heading, if it is bold, I'm going to check also the italics option. Out of fit results, so our columns are going to be resized to fit the contents of the cells. Number format, you want to use a general or fixed. If you select fixed, you have to select a number of decimal places. So let's leave it general, in which case this one is grayed out. Date and time format. How do you want your timestamps display? I'm going to select just the time. I just want to display the time. The result alignment by default is left. I'm going to select right. And check that the specified tags exist. So this is some kind of validation when you enter the tag name. I'm going to leave that one unchecked. And here we have the option to paste format options on the worksheet. So I'm going to check that one. And where is the output cell? A1. And that A1 is okay. The next tab is the time zone. So right now the use time zone of the server is checked. But if you have something to customize, you can do so here. These are the different time zones the system is using. The one of the historian server, the one of the client, and the one for the application, which in my case is the same computer. Then for the source, by default is latest, but if you want to change that option, you can select it here. And then we have the general tab. In this one, we have the do not update functions when opening worksheet. Normally what is going to happen is you save your report, and whenever you reopen it, all the functions will refresh, meaning all your data is going to get updated. If you don't want that to happen, you can check this box. Now, when I save all these global options, notice that I have a cell selected as the output for that data. So I'm going to click OK. And 9 pieces of information are displayed here, which are basically my format rules. So what do we need this for? Well, let's do this. I'm going to enter here the name of my 2 tags, the 2 routine tags we have been using, my React level and React temp. And I'm going to create a live values report here. So I go to tag values, live values, the name of the server. Here I have to select the cells where my tag names are. Click next. And here we have these select cells to specify format options that we have never used. Well, we have never used it because we never checked into the options before. So now we are going to check that one. And here I have this field where I have to enter where those format options are. Notice that I have 2 columns of data. I'm going to select the second column because that one is the actual values for the format. The first column has just the names of each setting, but the second has the values, so I'm going to select the second. Click next. Leave everything as default, click finish. And here we go. Notice that my format is in italic. It is aligned to the right. I am only displaying the time, not the date. So basically, this is the format that I selected. Now let's try with a different one. I'm going to go again to the options. And I'm going to change it to change display format to fixed. I want 3 decimal places. The datetime format, I want the full thing with seconds and everything. The result alignment, I'm going to go left. And that's it. Make sure you check the option paste format options on worksheet. And we are going to select as the output cell A23. Click OK. And here is my new list of format settings. So now let's create the live values report again. So I go to tag values, live values. The names of my tags are in the same place. Click next. Select cells to specify format options. Well, I changed them, right? I want the system to look at the new set, not at the old set. So I'm going to change that to these guys here. Click next. Finish. And here we go. We have 2 arrays displaying live data, but with different formats. Now let's delete all this. And let's explore the second option under the Options button, which is the Set Base Date and Time. Now, the values that you enter here for date and time can be used later on to create generic reports, because the reports will basically use them as a reference and they will accommodate to any value you enter here. It only affects this workbook, it won't affect any other workbook, and we are going to test it here. So we are going to change this base date to June 15, and I'm going to change the base time to 6 p.m. Click OK. It's giving me a confirmation dialog, so I click OK. So let me insert again my tags, tag selection. I'm going to select here React Level and React Temp, and I will insert them here in A1. OK. And now I'm going to create one of my reports. I'm going to select History Values. And for History Values, let's select here my tags, click Next. For the output, I want the output here on cell C2, click Next. I'm going to leave these default options, click Next, and here, where I select the time that my query is going to cover is where I can start using my base values. So for example, here for relative time, I can say, I want the data 10 minutes from my base date. And my base date, the system is telling me, is June 15. And a specific time? No, I don't want a specific time. I want to use my base time as well. And the system is again letting me know that my base time is 6 p.m. I click Finish. And here it is, my data starting on 6:15 at 5:50 p.m. Base date and base time are global references. However, we can also use other cells as reference. So for example, if I want to create again this report and I go to Tag Values, History Values, the first thing the system asks me is, where are the tag names? And so far, we just go ahead and click the group of cells where we have inserted the name of the tags, and that's fine. However, if you are building a big report and you have a lot of worksheets, doing this over and over can give you a lot of room for error. So we can take advantage of some of the Excel tools to facilitate this task. So let me cancel this, and I'm going to select both my React Level and React Temp. I'm going to add also Broad Level and Speed, for example. And now I'm going to select the 4 cells where my tag names are. And I'm going to go here where the name of the cells are, and I'm going to give it a name, Analog Tags. And this is going to become a range. These are Excel name ranges, meaning if I create my report again, for example, here, I'm going to go to Tag Values, History Values, and here, instead of going and selecting the cells, I'm going to type Analog Tags and click Next. And the system didn't complain because it recognizes that name. That name identifies a range of cells and is a valid range of cells. So I keep going here, continue, next, finish, and here I have my live data. Now if you want to change that range, maybe because it has the wrong name or it has the wrong size, you can go to the Formulas tab, and under the Define Names group we have the Name Manager. Here we have the analog tags and we can delete it or edit it. If I select Edit, I can change to which cells it is referring to. And let's close it. Now the idea of all this is to facilitate the creation of the reports, because you can have all your reports looking at these groups of cells. You can plan the organization of your tags, group them according to whatever is more convenient for you, give them names to those cell ranges, and create your reports based on that. Now there is an embedded functionality within Workbook that will do the same. If we go here to our Historian tab, for example, I'm going to create a new report, Live Values, we have seen this Binding Options button. Well, if I click here, now I have this option, Use Bounds Tags in the range name AF Tag Binding of type, and I can select the type. So it's giving me an alternative. I don't have to use these cells containing my tag names. I can use something called the AF Tag Binding name range. And that one is of type analog, discrete, or string. So I'm gonna select analog, click next, and we get this dialog. A sheet named AF Bindings has been added to this book. It contains Wonderware Historian client binding ranges for report automation. Now notice that now my first spreadsheet is called AF Bindings. It added a new one. So I'm gonna click OK, select the cell for output. I'm going to select this one, H9, next, and finish. Now, why do I have sys times sec? Because it is looking for the analog tags defined in that range, in that name range that it just created. So let's go and check it out. If I click on the AF bindings page, I have a default list of tags. I have sys times sec, syspulse, sysstring, and sysstatus event, and those are here for example only. So here, if I select these 4 tags, notice the name. It is called AF tag binding. So I have my analog tags that I created earlier, and now I have a new one, AF tag binding. And from this range, it is selecting which ones? The analogs, right? Because if I go back, my report is about sys times sec. And sys times sec is the only analog in this group. If I go back and I create another live data report, and I'm gonna change this to discrete, next, next, finish. Now is syspulse because that is my discrete. Right now the range is between B12 and B15, but we know how to change it. We can go to the formulas, name manager, and I can change this to a bigger range. And basically what is gonna happen is that when I create my reports, I can tell the system from all this huge list of tags that I have in this range, make a report only of the analogs, or make a report only of the discretes, or only of the strings. Okay, so let's do some practice.